Welcome back to the ABCs of ERP and beyond, and this is our final episode of the year. And we are wrapping up 2025 by reflecting on some of the biggest moments, both in ERP and in life, that shaped the year. So join us today as we go through our 2025 highlights. And it's been a year of movement, really, events, big conversation, major system milestones, and a few personal changes that definitely deserve a mention. So join us as we walk through some of the things that we're proud of and really highlighted the year for the ABCs of ERP and beyond. And to go through this, I am joined as ever with my fellow co-host, Nirav Shah. Welcome back.
Hey, Peter. Happy to be back. And the year has flown by. Like literally, I feel like we were just in January kind of brainstorming what we're doing here for 2025 and different topics we're talking about. And we're here. We're literally here in our last episode. Like it's been a whirlwind. It's moved so fast. A lot of things happened in the ERP space, in the political arena, personal stuff. We got together multiple times this year, which has been really cool. So we, a lot of cool things to reflect on, and share. 2025 was a year of unpredictability, I think, for a lot of businesses, what they're going to do next and where the software is going. We kind of had a good idea at the beginning of the year, but like everyone went all in, right, on the AI stuff. So we'll head on that a little bit. And then 2026 is just like, I think we already have all the topics we're going to already talk about for 2026. And the funny thing is, I think all of them are going to change because that's how fast the industry is moving. So, looking forward to that and bringing, obviously good educational content out there in the ERP space. Acumatica, Business Central, and just ERP in general, right? We may not talk about a lot of different other publishers out there, but we're definitely interested in them, see what they offer to the table. So hopefully we get a few more of them on. But we have a ton of stuff to talk about in this episode.
Yeah, let's kick it straight off with the start of the year. One of the biggest highlights for me was the first time that I ever gone to such an event, which was the Acumatica Summit down in Las Vegas. End of January this year. Awesome event. I'm so happy to have had the chance to go. Major milestone for Acumatica. It's their biggest one, and actually their last one at Las Vegas, held at the Wynn for quite a number of years now moving. So I'm glad I managed to catch it, staying in a very nice hotel that I wouldn't normally be able to stay in. Yeah. But awesome event as always, I guess. Nirav, what's your thoughts on the summit this year?
Yeah, that was our second summit that I think we attended. Second or third. But yeah, action packed. Like there's just, Acumatica does a really nice job of putting on different sessions that pertain to a broad group of customers. And unlike other conferences where, like, for example, Microsoft would do a partners conference and then they do a customers conference, right? And then there's one called Community Summit. This is all together. They have one big conference and all partners, all customers, all executive VPs and management and product managers are all together in one place where you could pick everyone's brain. It's really collaborative. The energy is so high in this event, which was no different than other summits that we've been going to. But this one was, I think, shattered records in number of attendance. And there were people that came this year. It was a beautiful venue. Like you mentioned, like if it wasn't for Acumatica Summit, I don't know if I personally could, pay the $600 or $700 a night that they normally offer. But it was a beautiful venue. We love staying there at the Wynn, and now they moved to Seattle. But if we just unpack what happened at the summit, some of the keynote stuff is building the future of business together was John Case's initial, his motto when he started 2025, and followed that same pattern through the rest of the year in 2025, building the future of business together. That summit in February, we started to see stuff with AI come out, right? We started seeing AI Studio. They started presenting some of its use cases. They started presenting some of the back end in what they're doing, right? Really early on, but they started putting the framework together. And then 2025 R2, just here past two or 3 months ago, they basically threw it right into the product, right? And blew the doors open of a lot of different possibilities on what you can do with their, different type of LLMs, and start using it, putting it in the end user's hand. So if you think about just putting it out there in concept, right? And then all of a sudden throwing it right into product, that time of development and general availability went so fast. for them, and which was really nice to see that progression from February to October. What they did there, I thought for me that was a really huge highlight. Order orchestration for me was a huge highlight in what they did, and bringing out the ability to logically have Acumatica decide which distribution centers to fulfill orders from based on priorities, based on addresses, based on states, based on customer location, distribution warehouse location, which is really nice. Now a lot of other publishers have that out there. Forget about the parties. Acumatica Summit probably has some of the best parties out there. As much as I don't dance, I think I was on the dance floor for like maybe a quick minute or two, and then came back out. Acumatica does a great job of being able to meet the product managers. I was able to have a ton of really good conversations with the manufacturing product managers, with the e-commerce product managers, stuff. Just roadmap stuff. Like, hey, what's happening with the product, right? Not only as a partner that we get a chance to help our customers understand what's happening with Acumatica, what customers directly could talk to them. So those are some of my key highlights and takeaways, which were for me, really, really shaping the direction the platform's going in the future.
Yeah, I also echo the points about the fact that it's everyone at the same conference. You've got, obviously you've got VARs, you've got ISVs there, you've got customers, you've got potential customers. But if you break that down further, you've also got developers that work at VARs. So you've got such a mix of different people. It's so much easier to network and find connections that you wouldn't get if it was such a separate thing. And some of the conversations I had were super valuable. People that are very similar industries, because obviously the first time I went there, January, our first Acumatica go live was July of that year. So we hadn't actually used it outside of a sandbox. So being able to talk to people that have just gone live in the same industry as you is huge, as well as talking to Acumatica developers and just spitballing ideas and trading tips and stuff, and talking about the customization package that you're working on and what would their approach be, or have they got any kind of lessons learned from a similar thing they've done, all within the same, on the same day under the same roof. It's such a powerful thing. But we know this from any kind of face-to-face networking will obviously trump anything that's virtual, but to have such a mix of people at the same venue is really, really valuable. It's the conversations between conversations. I think where you get those. I was just thinking that. The sessions are great. The sessions are awesome. In fact, it's a shame that there's so many good ones. It's like,
I know.
I want to go to that and that.
One.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was a little bit strategic. Obviously, I went with Emily, so we worked together and said, right, you go to that one and I'll go to that one, and then we'll trade notes afterwards.
Yeah.
But it's the conversations when you're standing around that bar of an evening that I think a lot of the value comes from, because they're the stuff, like a session is a session, right? It's a one-time thing, but the connection that you make with people, that can last a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
So that's hugely valuable. And I know that I'm going to have a bunch of lessons learned that I'll bring, not spoiling the surprise, but to next year's summit based on what I saw at the win this year. But yeah, great. Huge highlight for the year.
That was super, super great. Summit coming up again here in February. So if you haven't yet, right, you missed early bird pricing, but there's tickets still available to get your summit ticket and join Peter and I and the whole Acumatica community at Acumatica Summit, because there's just a ton of stuff there.
We've still got time to do merch. The ABCs of ERP and Beyond merch. I want to turn up in a shirt of ours.
Let's do it. You remember us?
Why haven't we thought about this?
I know.
Oh my God. I need to make a note.
Yeah, we got to do this. Just jump on it ASAP. But yeah, you'll find us there, and we'll
look out for the branded shirt.
Yeah, we should do that, dude. Totally.
All right. Let's move on. Point number 2. I think this was one of the most viewed, listened to couple of episodes that we did. I think if you drop Trump's name into any kind of YouTube video, you're probably going to get a lot of hits off it. And we certainly did. And I'm so glad actually that we got to demonstrate how ERPs can support such a changing dynamic in the world that we see.
Yeah.
And of course, this was tariffs. Trump 2.0, the Trump tariffs, it kind of blindsided a lot of companies that were thinking, one, how do we even do this? Like, how do we process this? But two, how do we then assess this? How do we know where we're losing or winning, and what's going to be the impact to my landed costs and ultimately the selling price of my product? And we did I think a couple, maybe 3 different episodes where we talked generally about tariffs, how they work, how Incoterms work, how it's often the buyer that incurs the cost, not the seller.
Exactly.
It's not a revenue generator, funnily enough. It is for certain people, but probably not, you know, end users or customers. It's probably people in the White House that it generates revenue for.
Of course.
But we saw how that happens an economical level, but also on a kind of day-to-day processing in an ERP, both in Business Central and in Acumatica. It was great to do that, right?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I personally walked away from learning the HTS schedule that I've never bothered to look at. Peter, you did a great job of moving through the harmonized tariff schedule, which I do kind of bring that up sometimes when I'm talking to some customers or something. By the way, do you know how to navigate through this and understand?
What are your Incoterms? UDAP, DDU, CPT, CFR?
Exactly.
That's it.
So that was eye-opening to me personally. That was really educational going through that. But yeah, the tariff was, you know, they were there, I think, about 2 or 3 months before we even shot the episode. Yeah. But I think when we shot it, the reciprocal tariffs had maybe just come out like a month before that. And like, you're talking about 136%, talking about 100%, right? So now customers are just like, you know, people are using Acumatica. How do we get these back into Acumatica? How do we know what our actual costs are at the end of the day? So we were able to kind of demonstrate that, which was really cool. No landed costs exist in Acumatica for as long as the product's been out almost, but the ability to kind of create separate codes around that, and then, you know, go ahead and access different receipts, putting on the correct tariff amounts. So, you know, you get the proper costing layers in Acumatica, which was really nice. I think that benefited a ton of customers out there that saw it. We did the same thing with Business Central. Business Central has landed costs, obviously capabilities as well. But, you know, you'd be surprised, Peter, how many people that technically do landed costs, but through their transactions with vendors and stuff, they don't actually go ahead and record the landed cost. They may not even know that landed cost processes even exist in the ERP like Acumatica or Business Central. So I'm glad that we did it. I think that helped a lot of customers out there to start using that functionality and probably not seeing the numbers that you want to see, unfortunately, seeing where your margins are at the end of the day. But that was a big thing, right? That happened in the economic environment. And how did ERP not solve that challenge, but take that information and provide the proper feedback to the decision makers in the company to go ahead and work with that data at the end of the day? That's what ERP is designed to do. Right. At the end of the day, it's a driver of capturing information, organizing the data so you can make better business decisions. And, you know, tariffs is just one example of it. And I think we should do more of these, you know, later on, you know, in our future episodes. But that one was, I think, super high value episode that we did for the community out there.
Yeah. For me, it's a classic case of one of those areas of an ERP that's forgotten about. It's easily to forget that. But when something happens, you know, if you know about it, you can leverage it so much better than, you know, having to think about maybe just posting a manual entry to a GL account to capture costs, you know, just posting payments and just overwriting the description to put like Trump tariffs, and you lose that visibility of where those costs are coming from. Landed costs, as you say, they've been in ERP for a long time, but it's times like this where suddenly they're in the limelight. And you need to know about these features because it does make it so much easier to actually see where that's coming from. As you said, you can post it to under different codes. So instead of just seeing a landed cost and go, well, hang on a minute, 6 months ago, this was $10 a box. It's now $110 a box. You want to be able to see that breakdown. Like, it's hitting this, this, and this. It's, you know, there's, especially with Trump tariffs, there's multiple, right? You can have fentanyl, IEPA, you can have just the normal China tax. Yeah. And you can see the breakdown. So that's huge because that allows your teams to adjust if they can, but also see whether we can maybe purchase more raw material ahead of time before the next wave of tariffs come in. Or maybe you've got a vendor that you can swap to that doesn't get hit with as many landed costs. And of course, you can see all of this if you capture the data correctly. So, yeah, it was great. We got lucky with the timing. We got lucky with your expertise for the demos. It's just a perfect kind of opportunity to showcase something that's often gets forgotten about, especially something like that when it's suddenly at the forefront of everyone.
Exactly. And I think that was a great use case of ERP. That's exactly how you're supposed to use ERP. ERP is not set and forget it. It's what is happening around me and how do I leverage the ERP to make sure I could first, understand what's happening economically around me, capture that data in the ERP, and then what I'm going to do with that information, right? Instead of saying, we're not going to put that, that's not important to us. Take a step back and say, every cost that comes into your business is important. And how do you bring that into a good organization, relational database, ERP system? Because that's going to make all the difference in, increasing margin, slashing costs, right? Increasing customer, employee, right, satisfaction. It was definitely a good episode. And the highlight of 2025, bittersweet highlight, maybe. Obviously tariffs is hurting a lot of small business out there.
We got a lot of viewers out of it, so it's only a highlight for me.
It's a highlight.
And I'm not in the US, so I'm not paying anymore for my goods that I buy. And my apples aren't, or eggs, wasn't it eggs? And my eggs aren't like $15.
Yeah, it's not $15. You don't pay $15 an egg right now? Jeez, Peter, come on.
Look, we have our own problems anyway.
Cool.
All right. Number 3, just as big. Oh my God, this was a big one, especially for me. In fact, we both have a story about this one. Go lives. We saw some major go lives this year. So my one, Acumatica, the UK part of my division, we moved over from a very old NAV 2009 on-prem ERP solution to Acumatica, the cloud ERP, which was huge. It's great because it came, 2 years after starting this podcast.
Yeah.
2 and a bit years after me and you started talking to each other and finding each other out there. And now we're actually the other side of an actual Acumatica project.
Yeah.
So I learned a bunch. I leveraged some stuff that we talked about. It was great to have such a successful one as well, being our first one, done and dusted in 6 months.
Yeah.
With a complex customization in there as well.
Yeah.
But we had already done when to customize and when not to customize.
Yes.
So we'd already spoken about some of that stuff. But yeah, massive success for us. Huge success. A lot of extra work that I really enjoy with an ERP migration is the stuff that is not just the technical stuff. Obviously, I know I talk about being the data king and the data nerd, but at the same time, I really like digging into processes and stuff. And we know that an ERP, all it does is it just digitizes your processes. As good and as bad as they are, it just does that. So to be able to speak to every single department, to be able to go from NAV, which typically was seen as a finance back office only thing, and everyone else was kind of forgotten about or played second fiddle to a system like Acumatica where you get it right on the shop floor, you get it into your warehouse. Being able to then have deep dive discussions on process now, what's your pain points, how often does this happen, how much time do you lose doing this, being able to get into the weeds and really simplify and optimize a business process and then digitize that into Acumatica. I love that stuff. I love that kind of work.
Exactly. And it's coming to your point. It's, you see like that, the seed kind of becoming a flower, right? Or whatever at the end of the day, because it takes a life on its own, right? When you get into an implementation, you may have one idea like, oh, we'll just take what we're doing, or we have some ideas and we're going to do it. But then once you, like what you guys did, you had a successful deployment. We talked about it, had a great episode on that. But you took your time to do the interviews. You took time to understand the business case scenarios, the blind spots, the gaps, right?
Yeah.
Why they like the current NAV, and how much of that do you want to bring forward. So you took that did your due diligence ahead of time. And that seed just started becoming, something really beautiful from an ERP perspective, because then everyone came on board. It wasn't a lot of change, resistant to change that was happening in your project. I remember when we were talking about it. So, those are all great tips.
I think it's one of those cases where it's half sold if the business is going through a whole load of pain with the current setup. You haven't got to convince them. You just got to say, look, it's going to be better, trust me. But they already like are hating your old system. Kind of half the battle is won, right? Yeah. And the other side, I should say, is when you're talking to the business and you're talking to the teams and you're going through their processes and deep diving in those, it's also the people management side of it, which is huge, because you want to get that buy-in and you want your go live to not just be a one-day event. You want them years on, still on that system, absolutely loving it, just in their own improvements, tweaking as they go. And that starts from managing the people from the start of the project all the way through to kind of that hypercare and ongoing care afterwards. And I will mention, I'll make a quick, I've only just thought about this because I spoke to Emily a few weeks ago. We were talking about our podcast for some reason. She mentioned that I had taken credit for the survival kit that we did for the cutover weekend. When we, we did the bingo, and we did the little box.
That's cool. Yeah.
The mini champagne for success, or the bottle of vodka for, if it's not going very well. Oh, that's. She said I took credit. Now, she won't listen to this, but I gave her credit anyway. So if she does bother to listen to that go live where you were interviewing me and I said, Emily came up with this great idea. I'm setting the record straight for something that was already straight when we first talked about it.
But that was so cool, though, by the way, what Emily did and how you guys kind of executed that plan, putting that survival kit together. But that's what it should be, right? These projects should not be a chore. It should not be I need to do this because my boss is making me do it, right? Like, at this day and age, I feel like team building is so important, especially with everybody working from home now, right? Or majority of people, although there is kind of a flip happening, I feel like, and you want your team to be happy, right? At the end of the day, the stuff that you talked about in your Go Live episode, right, is all things that more customers should, I think, embrace and do that way, because if you're not doing it for each other, why are we doing it? Right? Really, this is a system that talks to each other. If we don't want to talk to each other, then we could just stay in our own silos. It's this opportunity. I feel like there's such a great opportunity to bring everyone together and forge the path forward to, the next 20 years of success with this new system and putting your mark, right? Like all these people that are getting trained, it's their specific mark for the future of that business. So, which is, I think, a really cool task to be assigned, for any ERP project, where you get to actually set a mark of what you do in that department and how it affects other people in the business. But your Go Live was an amazing story. I took away a lot of great things on that. And what we do is, what we recommend to some of our customers, we come in from a partner perspective and, what we want that camaraderie and, how to plan better and getting everybody on board, rowing in the same direction. You don't have, one half of the team rowing forward, the other half of the team rowing backwards, and you're not going anywhere, right? So that was a really cool episode to go through and do. Kudos to you guys. And you guys have much success this year. You guys are doing some amazing things. Before even this podcast, we're looking at some things you guys are doing and some of the seeds that you laid down 5 or 6 years ago. And what's happening now is just incredible. So, that's all it's about, man. That's all it's about. Successful go lives with the ABCs of ERP.
Exactly. Did you have any go lives? You got any stories, any highlights of go lives for this year?
What I'm realizing with a lot of go lives that we did this past year is they're all integration based. They're not traditional ERP only projects anymore. Like, you're integrating with Shopify, right? You're integrating with Soligo, you're integrating with third-party shipping systems, you're integrating with, just other third parties. There's not like traditionally where you just did ERP. And we did quite a number of Shopify integrations this year, which I thought was pretty interesting. And these connectors out there are really, I think they're getting powerful. They're getting better in terms of connecting natively to different third-party solutions. But my takeaway this year on Go Lives were not just Go Lives, but the type of projects that we saw, 80-90% were based off of integrations coming into the ERP. So that's the future, I feel like, and a lot of partners have to kind of adjust and be prepared for that. And if you're not, it's going to be hard to, be that trusted advisor to your customer at the end of the day. And we've been lucky enough to be able to be the trusted partner for a number of customers that went live using these integrations. And we've learned a ton with these integration platforms. And it's only going to get bigger and bigger at the end of the day, like the use of Monday.com, Smartsheets, right? All these different other project management tools out there, Outlook, Gmail, some more automated process like Build.com. It's just, you have to be ahead of it and you have to understand it and be able to provide that value to your customer, and customers want it. So that's kind of what I see here, this trend in 2025.
Yep. And maybe in 2026, we should actually discuss some of the kind of project management tools, both on the partner side and the customer side.
Yeah.
Maybe you can find some common ground. I know we used Smartsheet for ours, which was a great help. But then we also leveraged on our side SharePoint. So we used SharePoint for file transfer. So we had our SharePoint site, which was our team, and we could have our internal presentations, our CapEx justification presentation, all that kind of stuff that only really we should have. But then we had a SharePoint subsite that we gave access to external users, to our ERP partner. So it made it so much easier for transferring files, data extracts, for them if they've written up a particular SOP or a guide of how to do a particular funky process, but also things like meeting recordings. If they were the owner of the meeting, they recorded it, then they moved the finished recording into the SharePoint site. So
SharePoint, that's awesome.
Get the transcript, think through what we said about, and really, leverage that time and time again when we need to refer back to something. So yeah, maybe we should do like some
best practices of an ERP project management for an ERP project, tools and processes, right? We should definitely do that one. So,
all right. So they're the business successes. We both had some great successes on ERP, but we also had some personal successes as well. So,
I think the biggest one throughout this whole year is that Peter got married. And I had this opportunity. I had this opportunity to attend the wedding and see his beautiful bride. And the wedding was amazing, which was definitely one of my highlights of personally, my year is coming to your wedding, Peter, which was really cool. And it was really nicely done, a great kind of venue, and backdrop was just amazing. But that was a big one. That was a huge, I don't know if we could top that, to be honest. I think even like 2026, 2027, 28, I don't think any other year from a personal success perspective, we can't top that. So that was phenomenal. And thanks for inviting me to your wedding, Peter. I had a great time and blast in it.
No, I'm so glad you came. I couldn't believe it when I first of all said to Heather. I remember saying to Heather, "Ralph's coming over for the wedding." She's like, "What?" And immediately we're thinking, he'll dial in, we'll have him like on a screen virtually. Like, no, he's literally flying over to be at our wedding. Like, we were so happy that you could come.
Yeah.
And I know we met up a couple, literally 2 days before. Met up in London. Saw some sights, went out for dinner. Such a blast. I'm so happy that you came and could have shared the whole day with us for the ceremony, the after party. Yeah. So
that was cool. We didn't get a chance to shoot when we were there. No. But next time I come to London, we will definitely shoot. We will definitely shoot out there. So yeah. But congratulations, Peter. That was phenomenal. And I'm sure all of our viewers are all wishing you a great marriage, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely a highlight. Definitely the top of the list.
Are you sure it's even higher than Acumatica releasing AI Studio? I don't know.
That's tough.
Stand, actually.
Well, I know that Heather doesn't listen to this podcast, so I can speak frankly about that. It's probably on par. About the same.
Darn, AI came in the way again.
Any personal successes for you? What happened in 2025 in your life?
Yeah, I had one personally. I have a teenager now. I have a teenager. I'm starting to lose some of my hair. But yeah, that was a big shock to me. They have their ways about them. I'll just leave it at that. But it's great. I mean, just seeing the kids grow up and, year after year. It's, I remember when I was a teenager to turn 13, I felt like, holy cow, this is the real world. Even though I'm like still kind of understanding high school, but like you're kind of left to do a lot of things independently. You're kind of out of your parents' shadow a little bit. Slowly, you're kind of getting out of that. And you have to build your own day schedule. You're responsible for your own things now. And it's as parents, you got to detach yourself a little bit from that. And the kids, I think, automatically start detaching themselves from that. So it's a learning experience for all of us. But yeah, 4 more years. And then we were looking at college. We already started that conversation, crazy enough. But yeah, it's interesting. It's been a good, fun year from that perspective. We're learning tons being parents of a teenager now. So it's cool.
I have to say, your kids are awesome. Like, I'm so glad that I can meet the whole family. We went out for some great food last time I was in Chicago for pizza and stuff. And they're a cool bunch. It's quite funny to see them come out of their shell. I know, obviously, I met your daughter for the wedding and stuff, but it's quite funny to see them change. Even when the first time I kind of met them, they're all a little bit shy of this funny sounding stranger with this weird accent. To then kind of talking about what teams you support and how Dallas are terrible versus the Bears that have the best season they have had for decades.
Yeah, since like '86. It's crazy. They're having a great season. That's another personal success. You got to put that in there. The Chicago Bears are having a great season so far. Cowboys, not so much. They got to get their SHIT together. But anyway, it was a lot of wins, and we shot a couple episodes together. Did we? We did one. We did 2, right, together this year. And when you were in Chicago,
I think we did 1.
We did 1. Okay, we did 1 when you were in Chicago just recently. That was fun. It's always fun to do episodes when we're together, and we did it in the office, which is nice. And that was a fun episode. It was about planning. I remember. If you haven't checked it out, check out that episode. It was all about better planning tools in ERP that you might be losing sight of your productivity if you're not using a planning tool in ERP. So definitely check that one out. We did that one together. Yeah, I think but when it comes to personal successes, there was no shortage this year. Personal successes, I think there'll be more next year, but we can't top the one you had this year, Peter. But I'm sure we'll have some other successes, some more better go lives. You're going through another Acumatica implementation, so I'm sure that's going to be a success as well, and other learnings and things that happen. So keep everybody posted.
Yep, I'm talking about 2026. What things have you got to look forward to? What's on your list already?
I'll
let me have the first one?
Yeah, I'll let you have the first one. Go ahead, Peter.
AI, more AI. You get an AI. You get an AI. You get your own LLM.
You get your own agent. You gotta get your own agent, right? At that point, you get an agent. You get an agent. You get an AI. You get an AI.
Tell you what, though, I am looking forward to finally shutting that laptop down for a couple of weeks over Christmas, because this year has just exploded. Like, ChatGPT was a couple of years ago now, and it felt like you miss one day of reading AI news and you're already old.
You're already old.
I'm looking forward to just having a bit of a detox from AI for a couple of weeks where I don't read anything. And then maybe I'll come back bit more fresh-faced in January, ready to go again. But I know that it's made the list because there's some really good improvements coming to Acumatica with the AI Studio. I know that we've started to see it in 2025. I'm looking forward to seeing Summit and what they say. I'm not going to play a drinking game where drink every single time John Case mentions AI, because I'm going to be smashed by the opening keynote on the first day. But I am looking forward to seeing where this goes. Now we're starting to see AI actually being leveraged in the tools that we're using, rather than it being kind of a separate, go to this site, go to this URL and talk to an LLM. It's now been integrated into the tool. So I'm looking forward, because a lot of it's kind of been a bit theory based, a bit like, imagine when you have a little AI chatbot in your ERP. Well, we're starting to see this, right? And we're starting to see what it can do for us in terms of the boring admin, writing marketing descriptions of items, handling the condition of products and giving it the necessary attributes to that, stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing, one, what the ERP developers do, what Acumatica does, what Microsoft are going to do in BC, but I'm also looking forward to seeing what solutions the community comes up with, because that's often where a lot of the good, juicy stuff comes from, right? So I'm going to really be looking at the Acumatica community forums, seeing how people are going to be leveraging the AI Studio and integrating into stuff that we already use, GIs, business events. Can the AI trigger a business event when it sees a particular anomaly and things like that. So I'm looking forward to some of the community-driven solutions using AI as well.
Yeah, I think that's going to blow up next year. No doubt about it. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. And I don't know if the first phase of that is going to be, if I'm predicting anything, I don't know the first phase of that is going to be adoptable. I think it's going to be more like a phase 2 or phase 3 adoption for some of these AI tools that are going to come out next year. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's just going to get better and better. So AI next year. Acumatica is definitely one of the more, I think, stable tools when it comes to AI functionality and backend technology that they're developing. They're taking their time, and excited to see what else they're going to be doing out there.
Yep. Talking about Acumatica, Seattle is Acumatica's next location. Now they've finished at Las Vegas. They're moving a little bit closer to home for Acumatica. For 2026. So what are you looking forward to about Summit? Have you got something that you want to get out of Summit next time? Or
obviously goes without saying AI, but it's also connecting with some of the executives there, the product management, looking at what the roadmap is doing with the community, and just other functionality that they're adding, best practices and stuff like that. Acumatica just does a great job of continuing to invest back into the product. One interesting thing that I am really not excited but curious about is any executive changes potentially because of the new VC buyout, right? By Vista Group, right? They bought Acumatica for $2 billion or something. So are there going to be some executive changes? Are there going to be any other changes to additions potentially? Which addition are they going to pump the most money into? Now, the last 2 or 3 years has been, I feel like, construction. They've been putting a lot of money into construction, and it comes kind of manufacturing, then distribution. E-commerce kind of now is gone, and now you only have professional services. But I'm interested to see where they're focusing their attention now, because Acumatica is really good at construction. They are one of the leading players there, right? Versus manufacturing, they're maybe more like maybe 3 or 4. Right? Or maybe even 5. You have some bigger players out there in manufacturing, and then distribution is kind of a catch-all. And now they're kind of trying to make their way in space into their own industry in professional services. So I want to see kind of where are they going to take, where is this private equity company Vista going to take the product? What are they doing from the executive team to the product now at the end of the day? I'm really excited that they're going to make and that they're going to invest in the right places, and they're going to invest back in partners like myself, right? And they're going to give us the technology. They're going to give us the room to grow with the product at the end of the day, and with customers, Peter, that they're going to give more success to customers. They're going to be able to do a lot, give you better tools than other publishers to really drive home ROI with their product at the end of the day, because it comes down to ROI. At the end of the day, right? We could look at data all day long until our eyes get bloodshot red, but we have to get the ROI out of it. How much more are they giving us? So we're not doing maybe things outside of Acumatica. We're doing more things in Acumatica because it has the horsepower to do it for us. So really looking forward to that, and I'm thinking this is going to be, because this is going right after the buyout from EQT to Vista. We should see what they're doing with Acumatica for the next 5 years. We should really have a good game plan now. So,
and I think feature-wise, but also geographically as well, we know that they are on a huge growth path. We saw that in Summit this year when you look at the growth numbers. And physically, just how much busier Summit is compared to prior years. It'd be interesting to see what they want to do in terms of where Acumatica is, because it's obviously heavily US-based. We're starting to see more and more resurgence in the UK. Acumatica now holds UK roadshows. They held 4 this year in the UK. I've already been told by the Acumatica UK people that it's going to be once a month. They're going to hold 12 next year.
Amazing.
Acumatica UK roadshows. So they're obviously starting to branch more and more into Europe. I'm going to kind of watch what that entails and how they focus on growth outside of North America, alongside growth of features, and what their new what the new buyout does in terms of growing it across the planet as well.
Yeah, exactly. And just a side note, I feel like Acumatica, the word Acumatica is more suited for UK than it is for the US. I don't know why. I feel like it just sounds better when you say it than when I say it. I think they're going to grow there like crazy. So I don't know. And the US, obviously, but I think that's the next best. I think that's going to be a hotbed for Acumatica. For sure, the UK, they're going to invest a ton in there. And I think Acumatica is going to do really, really well in the international market.
And if you want to hear me say any other words in the British accent, please let me know. Like, I'm used to this from your daughter. I must have said about 200 different words. How do you say this? How do you say that? So any requests, I'll take them.
She's taking requests. Yeah. You should do it on Cameo. Cameo is a site where you could just go ahead and put your name on there, like $20 a word.
All right. Thirdly, this is going to be a big one. We should definitely focus, if that's what Acumatica is going to focus on in 2026, and what we want them to focus on. What we want to focus on for the podcast is having more interviews. We've actually still only done one.
One.
Yeah. So we want to do more interviews of people in the space. That is either other ERP partners, any ISVs, if you have your own solution, if you somehow connect with ERP in any way, be it an end user, reach out. Are you going through a go live? Have you just gone through a go live on BC or on Acumatica or on something else? Have you gone to, a little kind of interim solution like Odoo or something, like one of these open source ERPs before you jump to something like Acumatica? We want to hear about you. So
absolutely,
definitely on the lookout for interviews, right, for next year.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of. I think me and you have a pretty substantial amount of knowledge, but I think there's still a lot of folks out there that could add additional value to our podcast by way of their stories. And you never know, your story is going to help somebody else not make the same mistakes, go through handle certain situations a certain way, think of processes differently, right? Maybe even make a different software recommendation potentially for your industry. So, more than happy to have you on our show. Reach out to us. We want to try to get, other prominent folks on our show as well, like, maybe, different ERP selection consultants potentially that deal with different ERP software all the time. Maybe somebody from government that has been to an ERP project, partners, as you mentioned, executives from different publishers, whether it's Microsoft, Acumatica, other publishers. But we want to get a wide range of folks on to keep expanding, right? Bring the education out there, the knowledge out there, because everyone could use information that they don't know to make their project more successful.
Yep, I agree. So reach out. You can find us on YouTube. We post to a visual podcast to YouTube. We also publish to every other podcast platform. So whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I won't name them. I can't remember the names of the other platforms, but you'll find us. You'll send it out to every single platform. So you'll find us on YouTube, all the major podcast platforms. We shoot and release every 2 weeks. So you get a 45-minute episode every couple of weeks. And now we've got a huge backlog, right? We've got like 150 episodes, something crazy like that.
Wow.
So yeah, definitely check us out. Look at our back catalog. And let's just continue to talk about the stuff. And I think the next phase for the ERP podcast is to have more ERP people talking about it as guests. So definitely reach out, send us a question. Or if you've just got normal questions that you want us to answer, or a particular area you'd like to see demoed, or something that you think we haven't really spoken enough about, just let us know. We can cater to that and do any kind of subject in the ERP space. And with that, Nirav, I think that's our final episode done for the year.
Done.
2025 is done. It's been busy, challenging, rewarding, probably in equal measure. And we're grateful to everyone who's listened, anyone who's shared episodes or found us on YouTube or mentioned us to someone who joined us along the way or been from the very start. We appreciate it. We do this completely free. You'll notice that this episode, just like every other one, does not have any sponsorships, no advert breaks in the middle. We just do it for the love of it. And we will be back in 2026 doing the same thing, more conversations, more real world ERP stories, more perspectives from people who are actually doing the work on both sides. being the ERP partner side from Nirav's viewpoint or perspective, and mine as the end user perspective. So if there's a topic you want us to cover from both sides of that angle, well, now's the time to reach out. Until then, thank you for spending part of your year with the ABCs of ERP and beyond. Enjoy your festive break. Enjoy the holiday.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'll catch up with you, Nirav, in the new year to go again.
In the
Season
new year.
4.
Season 4. Looking forward to it. I think it's just going to get better. It's just going to get better. I can't wait to get season 4 underway. A lot of big plans for next year.
Yep. Well, enjoy. Let's catch up soon. I'll see you in about 5 weeks' time in Seattle.
Yeah, in Seattle. Yeah. We'll see that. I can't wait. It's going to be a blast.
All right, good. Have a good one. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Happy New Year, folks.